Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Judy Matassit, thank you so much for being here first. And thank you, everyone else. I'll say hello as I go along. And okay, I think we're good. Let's see if we can't finish in an hour, huh? I think that would be appropriate. Um, so, Blake Lively, the Duchess of Sussex, um, Kate Middleton, and Jimmy Carter. What does any of these people have in common? Not a whole lot, not directly, but let's get on to it, shall we? I say there's a royal connection here and there. I'm just going to make it up as I go along. Anyway, sad news, but a blessing just the same. At 100 years old, Jimmy Carter passed away today. 100 years old. He lived long enough to cast his ballot for a woman of mixed race for president of the United States. And unfortunately, things did not go our way. But as a proud Democrat from Plains, Georgia, he was glad to do it. And in the photo on the right, you can see by his side all these years, Rosalind Carter. Gosh, how long were they married? Like 70 years? Something like that? No, it was more than 70 years. Gosh, let me check. They were married since 1946. How many years is that? Since 1946. They have been married. That must be what? 81 years? Can that be right? Good grief. Wow. 77 years. Oh, thank you, Amelia Rodriguez. 77 years. Wow. And as far as I know, and I'm sure there have been others, but 78 years. Oh, thank you, Emerald Derrick. I'll take both of those. Um, as far as I know, Jimmy Carter was like the only president that I can think of that was partially raised by a black couple. That is incredible when you think about it. Not just, the housekeeper or something like that. This was a neighbors. These were neighbors. And from time to time, he would stay at their house, eat at their table. And of course, he learned about the Black experience firsthand. Um, can't really say that about many presidents, if any. But of course, I'm sure, as you can imagine, there's even one president that I am sure has fathered a few children, but we won't get into that right now, or maybe more. Uh, Carter got my first vote ever. You know, you can argue with me if you want to, but I say in my lifetime, that was the most honest president that I have ever known. The most honest, the most sincere, uh, unpretentious. Although he definitely was a fighter. When it came to politics, he could mix it up with the best of them. And, well, if it wasn't for that dreaded hostage situation, the 444-day nightmare, he very well would have had a second term. Yeah, you know what, Diane Hawkins, that is something that I think about so often. It's unbelievable, but I think about the people that have passed away before the Orange Menace came to office, and those who did not realize that he would be going back And of course, those who won't have to see the inappropriate second term for that person. You think about those things, just as you think of the unfortunate women who, or men for that matter, myself being one of them, who was looking forward to having a woman president. Um, yeah, there's so many of those things where you want people to witness certain parts of history and you hope they don't have to ever know about the worst parts of it. So, yeah, I think about that so often. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker and thank you for being here this morning. I know it's morning for you. I think it's got to be, oh my goodness, about 5 a.m. for you, but I really do appreciate you being here. Um, yes, Antoinette Kennedy, he even got a chance to vote for um, Vice President Harris. And of course, the seal of the President of the United States, the Great Seal of the President of the United States. It makes my insides ache when I think of that heretic returning to office, or the fact that he and that riffraff family of his could have ever um, have had any kind of access to those sacred spaces. Um, it is disappointing. And well, anyway, um, Jimmy Carter was a man of faith. So, taking a page out of his book, we just have to, step out on faith and try not to, I suppose, think the worst. You pray for the best. That's all we can do is pray for the best. And as I said, Jimmy Carter, in his 4 years as president, things like the Strategic Oil Reserve, which is something that has saved us from those high oil prices in the past. The Strategic Oil Reserve was a response to the energy crisis. And that was one of those many accomplishments that Jimmy Carter has ushered in that he doesn't get credit for. There's a lot of things that, kind of like with Barack Obama, actually, just like with Barack Obama, handing the strongest economy in history to that other person. And then, of course, you know how that is. He did everything he could to take credit for it. And in this parallel universe, you could say the same thing for Jimmy Carter, um, putting a lot of things in place that made things so much easier for the next guy, who was the only other president who has been a entertainer, a divorced person, uh, a well, anyway, there's a lot of parallels between Reagan and that other person. Anyway, let's not even think about them right now. And of course, um, presidential historian Michael Beschloff tweeted about this some time ago. In 1979, President Carter had solar panels installed at the White House. These were later laughed at, derided, and removed by officials of the Reagan administration. Again, this is something that could have changed the trajectory of this country. We could have been the leaders in solar technology. Instead, we are um, taking second, third, fourth, or fifth place. I don't even recall these days, but um, as soon as the other guy got in, the solar panels were removed. Jimmy Carter was working hard to make sure that the United States did not have to crawl because of the oil crisis and the energy crisis. He worked very hard at trying to, you know, come up with remedies for that. But again, someone else will later on get the credit for it, I'm sure. And of course, it was Jimmy Carter who believed in affirmative action, who wanted to make sure that if there was a qualified candidate of African descent who could, make their way up the ranks, uh, Colin Powell was recruited as that person, just as during the Kennedy administration, they were looking for a qualified candidate who could serve as an astronaut. Big difference is the astronaut, after Kennedy's assassination, was unceremoniously removed. No explanation was given. But Colin Powell, as you know, he went on to have quite a career in the military and as a cabinet member. So, whether or not you believe in affirmative action, it is about representation, and representation does matter. Right now, shockingly, we see that there's an almost exclusively White House, White House, and this is the second time that's happened, and it does not reflect the demographics in the United States as we know it. So, as I said, Jimmy Carter, proud Democrat, did a lot of things that people have conveniently overlooked or forgotten about. And also, a man of faith. He's always been a man of faith. He's always turned to the Bible. He taught Sunday school. He was never too big or too important to teach Sunday school. And let us not forget Andrew Young, who was the ambassador of the United Nations. That was the first time that an African American had ever held such a position. An African American who, of course, at that time was in the line of succession for the White House. A very key role that he had, especially with all of the problems in the Middle East and the oil crisis and such. So just very briefly, James Earl Carter, born October 1st, 1924, died December 29th, 2024, was an American politician and humanitarian who served as the 39th President of the United States from 1977 to 1981. A member of the Democrat Party, he was the longest-lived United States president and the only one to reach 100 years of age. Carter was born and raised in Plains, Georgia. He graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 1946 and joined the United States Navy submarine service. Carter returned home after his military service and revived his family's peanut growing business before beginning a career in Georgian politics, where he supported the civil rights movement as a state senator and later governor. Carter won the 1976 Democratic presidential nomination as an outsider and dark horse candidate before defeating incumbent Republican President Gerald R. Ford in 1976 election. Carter pardoned Vietnam draft evaders on his second day in office and successfully pursued the Camp David Accords, the Panama Canal Treaty, and the second round of the Strategic Arms Limitation talks. His administration established the United States Department of Energy and Education. The end of his presidency was marked by the Iran hostage crisis, an energy crisis causing stagflation, and the end of détente after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, leading to a grain embargo. The Carter Doctrine and the 1980 Moscow Olympic boycott. Carter defeated Ted Kennedy in 1980 Democratic primaries, but lost the general election to Republican Ronald Reagan. Post-presidency, Carter founded the Carter Center has assisted in peace negotiations, monitored elections, and provided treatment for neglected tropical diseases. The Carter Center has become a driving force behind several major deworming and disease eradication efforts, including the campaign to end dracon. Oh, wow. And with Carter's final wish being to see the last guinea worm die before him, Carter's writings covered diverse topics from political memoirs and global affairs to poetry. Historians and polls have assigned mixed ratings to Carter's presidency, but his post presidency period, the longest in U.S. history, has received near universal praise, including a Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. And let me just add one more little caveat. Jimmy Carter, I told you this man was fearless and deserves respect. He declared that the state of Israel was apartheid. He used the word apartheid. He fearlessly threw that word out there, and he was roundly criticized for it. But I believe that was the last book that he wrote. He did not mince his words. He did make some enemies, but he definitely had a right to speak his mind, seeing that he has done probably as much, if not more, than any president to try to create some form of peace in the Middle East. And so for that, I really respect him because he was very honest. He did not pretend otherwise. He said what he said. So, well done, Jimmy Carter. Well done. And taking a look back at his days as a sailor, wow, he looks good in his naval officer uniform. I suppose that's either his mom or her mom, but that is where's let me see. Is that well, I don't know. No, actually I don't know who that is. But that of course is Rosalind Carter. That is Rosalind Carter. She wasn't very interested in boys until Jimmy came along. And boy, was she quite beautiful. What a handsome couple they made. What a handsome couple. And this is like one of my favorite photos. It kind of gives me chills because you can see the two of them aging and walking hand in hand into the distance. And that's the way I like to picture them right now. Of course, she preceded him in death back in 2023. So good on you, Jimmy Carter. And you know what? We ought to make sure that we give him his flowers for life well lived. So, all right. Give him his flowers for a life well lived. Now, moving on to these little factoids. Did you know that the Secret Service nickname for Jimmy Carter was Deacon? That sounds proper, doesn't it? Some of the others, they called Hillary Clinton Evergreen, Bill Clinton Eagle. These are the names that the Secret Service used so not to confuse family members. Bernie Sanders Intrepid, Mogo. Michelle Obama, Renaissance, Barack Obama, Renegade, George W. Bush, Trailblazer, and his son, Timberwolf, Ronald Reagan, Rawhide, and Richard Nixon, Searchlight. Huh. Pence and his wife have code names, but who cares? I guess Pence's code name was Catch Me If You Can. Who knows? Who cares? So, one of the things that Jimmy Carter has in common with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and I don't know if Michelle Obama has, but anyway, let me see. Exclusive Meghan thinks blah 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 blah. Let me see. Well, it doesn't name them, but you can see there Jimmy Carter, both of the Clintons, and I'm sure Barack Obama. I'm not sure about Michelle. Anyway, there is a category in the Grammys. The Grammy Award has a category. It's called the spoken word, which I was so sure that Prince Harry should have won that category, but for whatever reason, he did not. But the spoken word, and that is usually for someone who has written their memoir, and well, it's a chance for you to win. Another person who won was Jesse Jackson. He did a voiceover, not a no, it wasn't a voiceover. It was actually a speaking part on an Aretha Franklin gospel album. And well, anyway, it was so moving, his words, that he won a spoken word Emmy. So um, very cool. Nice little interesting factoid. How Jimmy Carter shattered royal protocol by kissing the Queen Mother on the lips? Yuck. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, it's just too awful to think about. Jimmy Carter kissing the Queen Mother on the lips? Who would have? That is too gruesome to think about. During the 1977 trip to England, leaving her horrified. Leaving her horrified. She was horrified? She was horrified? Shouldn't that be the other way around? Kissing the Queen Mother could result in intoxication by contact. As a matter of fact, the Queen Mother was restricted from blowing out the candles on her birthday cake. Number one, there were so many of them. And number two, there was so much alcohol on her breath, they thought it might, take out Buckingham Palace or Clarence House. So she was not allowed to blow out the candles on her birthday cake. She wasn't even allowed in the kitchen anymore, even though they nicknamed her Cookie. But I digress. So yeah, it's an interesting story. They said that Jimmy Carter, for whatever reason, greeted her with a little peck on the lips. And supposedly she was outraged because that was the first peck on the lips she had had in 25 years and likely the last. So I'm thinking, are you sure it was 25 years? What about Backstairs Billy? Huh? What about Backstairs Billy? Well, anyway, I don't know how it happened, but somehow Jimmy Carter allegedly gave her a little peck on the lips. Of course, there is no photographic or video evidence to support this, but that was something that they had maintained for, the rest of the Queen's life. And of course, it's been brought up again. Um, like I said, Jimmy Carter was fearless. And believe me, if you're going to go in for that, you must be fearless. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying that, that gin soaked breath of hers, right? The smell of decaying liver. That it would take someone with some courage to do that. And just take a look there. I mean, there he is holding her gloved hand, and they're walking hand in hand and everything. Are you sure she wasn't trying to entice that Southern gentleman upon his visit to Buckingham Palace? I mean, come on, that's quite a leap. That's quite a leap. So if he did kiss that orthodontic nightmare of a queen mother, I'm sure he was trying to, um, you know, be a gentleman, if that doesn't sound weird. And then, of course, as the story goes, when she noticed him leaning in, she took a big step backwards, but not far enough, or something like that. If she would have took a step backwards, she would have broke her hips sooner rather than later. Do you think, with all of the gin in her blood, that she could have taken a step backwards without falling? Maybe that's what happened. Maybe she was about to fall backwards and he grabbed her and somehow, you know what I'm saying? Yes, Sharon, as I would say, he was being quite the gentleman. Yeah, quite the gentleman. Well, they use a lot of candlelights in the palaces for those state visits. So, you know, they say a thing of beauty is a joy until sunrise. So I guess maybe in candlelight, it wasn't so frightening. Who knows? But cheers uh, plus, as you know, the Queen Mother has had the nickname Cookie for some time. Remember, I was saying that Lady C used to have quite the arsenal of words that she used against that family. Well, she was the one who wrote about Cookie. There was a long rumor that the Queen Mother's actual mother was a French cook or chef or cook, a domestic worker who they used as a surrogate. Yeah, not knowing that someday she would be, you know, crowned along with her husband. But yeah, so that's why they call her Cookie. I thought they called her Cookie because she, was shaped like a cookie, or she, was shaped like Mrs. Patmore from Downton Abbey. Hey, Connie Balmer. But I guess I was wrong. They called her Cookie because of her alleged mother, but that was a nickname that plagued her. Vanzola, I don't know if those are wooden teeth, but yeah, that name Cookie had plagued her for years. Even in The Crown, the Duke of Windsor referred to her as Cookie. And then, of course, the other nickname that I love so much from the Crown was Shirley Temple. That was the nickname they gave the Queen. Queen Elizabeth II, of course, not the Queen Mother. Yes, he definitely took one for the team. If he truly kissed her on the lips, yeah, that is a big if. I don't know if I'm going to believe that one. I mean, if there was no photo, if there was no witness, could it be that somebody was a bit overserved at that moment when the alleged kiss had taken place? Huh? Could it be that? Could it be that somebody was reeking of gin or sherry or some other kind of tonic, and maybe she just got a bit confused? Yeah. Diane Hawkins says perhaps President Carter was trying to revive her with mouth to mouth resuscitation as she appeared less than alive before Phil cut off her heat and froze her. Yeah, that's a possibility. That is a possibility. I mean, he was too much of a gentleman for all of that. Classy LaCroix, my goodness, it has been a while. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Okay. Um, Now, who is Sarah Nathan? Editor at the New York Post and Melissa Nathan's sister, accused of orchestrating smear campaign against Blake Lively. Sandy Sussex says, well, Melissa Nathan, who's been leading the smear campaign against Blake Lively, is sister with Sarah Nathan, who frequently writes fabricated smear pieces about Harry and Meghan. I'm betting Willie uses the same company for smearing Harry and Meghan, allegedly. Um, Now, let me just say this. Someone mentioned in the comments that they didn't like the idea of comparing the Duchess of Sussex and Blake Lively. I don't know if that someone actually listened for the entirety of the Royal Sussex that particular day or not, but um, I can't say this often enough. Um, Context matters, and if you are just going by a thumbnail, which I could imagine that would be easy to do, then you may not get the full context of it. There was an excellent reason to mention them in the same breath because of the um, Sarah and Melissa Nathan, the accusations that were made about them. So, yes, this is the thumbnail. And as I ask, who's behind this? Well, that was, of course, a catchy headline to bring you in the first place. But the thing is, um, I get the idea of being very sensitive about how Megan is compared to other people, um, because that is a very touchy subject. Because Megan's name is thrown around far too often about things that have nothing to do with her, and this is not holding Megan responsible. This is comparing the strategy that has been used by the tabloid media and all of the other unseen hands that seem to make everything about Megan. So while I sympathize with your question, why do we do that? Or we should not do, I sympathize with that. But I have to be the one to decide what is and is not um, talked about on Royal Sussex. What links I decide to make is up to me. And at no time can I imagine in the over 2,000 videos, and trust me, those were not shorts, they were videos. I cannot imagine in 2,000 videos where I would just throw Megan's name into something just for the sake of it. I don't recall doing that. So, um, if you have a smartphone, you have a platform. You can start your own channel. I have encouraged people to do that time and time again. But there is a link, there is a connection, and I just wanted to point it out. And I see that some of the other content creators have done the same. And yeah, it is unfortunate that Megan's name is thrown about like that, but um, if we don't explore this topic, we can never get to the root of it. Stopping it, or at least trying to put an end to it, slow it down, identify the culprits. That's only going to happen if you call people out. They need to be called out because Meghan has been vetted for what, 6, 7, 8 years, like she's running for president of the United States. It makes no sense whatsoever that someone who is not a public office holder, is not attempting to hold public office, has been vilified by the British tabloid media and, of course, all of these deranged people on social media. And, of course, as you know, we tend to believe that the genesis of this campaign started at Kensington Palace. It seems like it started with Kensington Palace. It has been aided and abetted by the tabloid media, and it trickles down to social media. And of course, the social media and the tabloid media, they seem to feed each other. They enable each other. They exchange ideas. There have been burner accounts that have been identified. So those tactics that have been used against the Duchess of Sussex seems to have been deployed against Blake Lively. I don't even know Blake Lively. I don't know what else she's famous for. The only time I ever recall seeing Blake Lively was the Met Gala, and that was the gown of all gowns that year when she represented the Statue of Liberty and the whole New York theme. It was incredible, breathtaking gown. That was when I first had taken notice of Blake Lively. That was the first time I recognized her name, Blake Lively. And I did watch the movie though. I've watched that movie, and I'll talk some more about that later. But yeah, it is a connection, and there are people that act as though there's some type of journalistic hit squad that has been targeting certain people, which includes Naomi Osaka and oh gosh, what is the girl's name? Gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. But is it Gabrielle? And of course, the Williams sisters. They have been targeted for years. And if you really want to go way back, I mean, let's talk about Princess Diana, Oprah Winfrey. Diana, of course, there has been a campaign against her ever since, you know, they decided they would try to um, reform Camilla's uh, public image. They would try to save her public image. And they still do it. And Diana's dead. So this is a very big topic. It is one that has made life unsafe for some people. It has brought out the worst in others, and it just needs to be identified. It needs to be called out. It needs to be called out. And if it means connecting this person to that person, then so be it. Meghan has been gone for 4 years, and they still blame her for everything. Very true. Reading comprehension is lost on some people. Same thing happened with, to Lady Sussex a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you for that, Christine. President Carter had the most people of color and judges than any other president, from believer in civil rights all around this world and at home. He did the work because he believed, not for recognition. Thank you so much for that. That is very beautiful. Uh, All right, I'm just taking a look at a couple of your comments here. Okay, thank you. Shelly L says, "Hi, Baron. Lively has been in little over 50 movies. She also Ryan Reynolds Deadpool is really now. I saw the first Deadpool and I didn't pay much attention. It was a long time. Well, when it first came out, I guess, but I didn't realize that she was in that movie. She's been in over 50 films. Where have I been? My goodness. Well, thank you for telling me that. I had no idea. And thank you for the super chat. Yes, Heather Stroud, you're so right. The bots, those bots don't work for free. Absolutely. I mean, so far we have not really pinned down the individual. However, there is an article from what was it, 2021, that had accused the palace of buying bots. Had accused Kensington Palace of buying bots. I forget which magazine or newspaper wrote that article. Was it the New York Times? But they accused Kensington Palace, if I recall, of buying bots. And this is a very serious thing because it is designed to undermine the character of the targeted person. And as Harry said, it just takes one lone actor. There are people who believe that the world would be a much better place if a person that they have identified as the villain was no longer here. We still haven't figured out exactly why that woman flew all the way to New York and in 2019 decided that she would confront Meghan outside of a hotel in Manhattan. She was wearing a face mask. 2019. The global pandemic started in the spring of 2020. Why was that woman standing out there wearing a face mask? We haven't figured that out yet. And it seems as though she was lunging toward Meghan only to be confronted by one of the members of the security. There's nothing about this that should be taken lightly. And if it means drawing a connection from one actress to a former actress, then so be it. But if you have not stayed around to listen to the actual live stream and you're just viewing a thumbnail and you're making assumptions, that is number one, unfair on your part. And number two, start your own channel and everything will go your way. Start your own channel. There's a school of thought that says, oh, just ignore this. Oh, don't read that. Oh, you shouldn't say anything. But if you don't push back, then it seems as though they get away with everything. They, of course, being the tabloid, the palace, and of course, the derangers. If there was no pushback, and I'm not saying that I am the definitive person to do that, but if there was no pushback, if people like Joan Garcia didn't write letters to these people, or whatever other official channels that they might take, just imagine the morning television here in the United States being inundated with British tabloid reporters telling one side of the story. And they had gotten away with that for a long time. They'd gotten away with that for a long time. And there was nobody speaking up for the Sussexes, or at least they weren't speaking up loud enough. But when I realized that there was a big difference this year compared to the past years, was the "Where is Kate Middleton?" And of course, when Omid Scobie's book came out, when Harry's book came out, and you find out that there's a silent majority of people that realize that this whole campaign is about money, is about the mediocre royals, and of course, it's about race. Race does really matter. Now, that might not necessarily be Blake Lively's problem, but it makes vilifying Meghan so much easier. Just as the Vice President Harris, it made vilifying her so much easier. And if you don't think that that holds water, you need only look at President Trump. 6 years, 6 years of degrading and misrepresenting, plain out lying about Barack Obama. He used that for 6 years before he was able to somehow get in the White House. And since that time, how many times has he mentioned Barack Obama? How many times? Almost instantly, it stopped. Almost instantly. Even the day before election, he said, Barack Obama is an American citizen. He was born in this country. End of story. That was his way of sealing it. That was his way of putting that last fine point on his candidacy to make sure that anybody who was holding that against him might think different and cast their vote for him. And once he was done using that against the first Black president, he was done. So race does matter. And when it comes to threats, in my lifetime, I've had a Black mayor that received more threats than any other mayor we ever had. We've had a Black president received more threats than any other president in history. Research that if you like. And then when it comes to members of the royal family, there has been nobody, absolutely nobody in that family in modern times that has been under a greater threat than the Duchess of Sussex. So if this kind of comparison will help bring the issue into focus, I'm willing to go wherever we have to go to do it. And if those above mentioned people are truly working with the palace, sourcing from the derangers, whatever the case may be, we need to find out. We need to find out. But there is money to be made if you write for the Daily Mail or the Sun. Not just your salary, but there's other money to be made. You cannot tell me that these people that supposedly have an education, supposedly have some degree that makes them a journalist, is that what they went to school for? I think part of it is they want to write. The other part of it is, in some cases, they just hate other women or they're racist. That's what it comes down to. I am just amazed that I know that in the US, some of the so called feminists are also very racist. And it's just like the gay community. Some of the most racist people are in the gay community. And you think feminists, I mean, aren't you for the rights of all women? No. When it comes to the gay community, aren't you for the rights of all gay? No. No. It's even worse. What makes it so much more sinister is that they hide behind being a feminist. They hide behind their status of being in the LGBTQ community. They hide behind that. And it's just like that Rachel Johnson who wrote that awful column about Meghan. She's supposed to be a feminist. All of those women that write for the Daily Mail, in some form or fashion, they have referred to themselves or they have been dubbed a feminist. But you wouldn't know it by the way they have written about Meghan. In some cases, just making up stuff. Actually, in most cases. Now that Meghan has worn that red dress, I'm done with her forever. Were you ever for her? Because if what you've been doing was for her, gosh, I would hate to see what being against her would do. So, as I said, I watched the movie. Oh, wait a minute. Give me a second. It is getting hot in here. Okay. So as I said, I watched the movie. Blake Lively's publicist denies allegations of planting stories during It Ends With Us press tour. False. Publicist Leslie Sloan speaks out after Justin Baldini's attorney, Brian Friedman, said he plans to file a counter lawsuit to Lively's complaint that will shock everyone. Okay. Blake Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, is speaking out after Justin Baldini's attorney shared his plans to launch a counter lawsuit that will include allegations that Sloan planted stories in the press. Following Lively's explosive complaint, which accused Baldini of harassment on the set of It Ends With Us and a subsequent retaliatory smear campaign, the actor's attorney, Brian Friedman, revealed that he is preparing to file a counter lawsuit that he says will shock everyone, according to the Daily Mail. The outlet reported that Friedman intends to file as soon as the courts reopen in 2025. Lively's publicist is now pushing back at one of the reported claims in impending lawsuit or suit. So, like I said, I saw the movie. I loved the movie. It was really a good movie. And it's too bad that their work is, suddenly overshadowed by these complaints and counter claims and such. But oh well, that's the way it goes, huh? What can you say? So I did share the other day. I did share who is Sarah Nathan, editor at the New York Post, and Melissa Nathan's sister, accused of orchestrating smear campaign against Blake Lively. On December the 21st, actress Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against her It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldini, but Baldoni, I keep calling him Baldini, it's Baldoni. She accused him of harassment attempting to destroy her career and seemingly running a smear campaign against her. Now, um, I don't know anything about Blake Lively. I promise you I don't. But if this is indeed one of those situations where she only seemed to have certain problems because of this film, that's when it was identified that she was a problem because of this film. That says a lot. Now, if this is something that is carried over from one place to the next, from one film to another, then I would say that is worth discussing, or that's worth pushing back. And I'm only saying that because of all of the people who had ever worked with our Duchess. It seemed like she only became this raging maniac at Kensington Palace, right? That's where these stories start. They could not go back and find anyone who would complain. The only people who would say something disparaging are people who were themselves trying to climb up the ladder of fame, shall we say, like that crazy one that went to the hospital gala, who lied and said that Meghan was only there for a few minutes. She was in front of the cameras. She didn't seem welcomed, even though she was the guest of honor of the hospital director or whatever. See what I'm saying? Those are the people that will sit on television and lie about Meghan. But the people she's actually known and worked with, people who she actually has a photograph with, um, not so much. So, um, if that's the case, then she deserves, and I'm speaking of Blake Lively, she deserves to be heard. She deserves to be heard. I mean, a smear campaign like that not only undermines you professionally, but you almost begin to doubt yourself. You don't recognize yourself. As Barack Obama once said, given some of the things that has been said about me, if I didn't know me, I wouldn't like me either. If I had just met myself, so to speak, I probably would be afraid too. And that's just how it goes. After someone has, successfully created a campaign against you, it's so hard to push back. It really is hard to push back. And God bless the people that take the time to help the victim of this type of campaign make their case. And that means you all supporting these platforms. And of course, occasionally, as I said, people like Joan Garcia that actually take time to email and write these people. I'm embarrassed to say that I have not, but um, there's something to be said about that. But the point is, if you're part of this community, just your likes and your shares, and of course, your support for these platforms also go a long way. Because how many times have we heard people say, oh, I heard all of these terrible things about Meghan, and then somehow I found your channel, um, or I found Tina and Michelle. They didn't know that there were opposing voices out there. They thought it was just like, you know, they knew it wasn't right, obviously, but they didn't know that there was anybody that was speaking their language, that shared their point of view. So I'm going to skip and go down to the part where they mention Meghan in this article. And this is the article from, I think it's SK Pop by Sport Skida, right? Okay, let me see. Where was that? They mentioned Meghan. I think this is the right article. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, yeah, it is the right article. Let me find it, though. Oh, she was in Gossip Girl, huh? Is that right? Okay. I I thought this was the yeah, this is the right article. Why am I not seeing Megan? Wait. Okay, maybe this is a different article, but still the same thing. As per Blake Lively's accusation, both Melissa and Jennifer reportedly tried to damage her reputation by running a seemingly untraceable smear campaign against her online. Not only that, but the suit also mentions Melissa's sister, Sarah Nathan, of allegedly orchestrating the same against Lively. Sarah is editor at large for the New York Post. Page six, the tabloid owned by New York Post, ran a headline: Blake Lively approved final cut of It Ends With Us amid feud with co star director Justin Bodani and other similar negative stories. Reportedly, they were done by Sarah Nathan. All you need to know about Sarah Nathan amid her sister's alleged involvement in Blake Lively's smear campaign. As per her bio on the New York Post website, Sarah Nathan is an award winning editor at large who has worked for The Sun, People Magazine, Daily Mail, and dailymail.com before joining the New York Post. In other words, the usual suspects. Born in Britain, Sarah primarily covers Hollywood celebrities and the royals, from Prince Harry's memoir to Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen's breakup, alongside Florence Pugh's fallout with Olivia Wade and drama surrounding Don't Worry, Darling. Nathan has covered them all recently. Before becoming editor at large, she was the Page Six feature editor. She has worked at the New York Post since May of 2018. Wow, that's interesting. That's when the Sussexes were married, May of 2018, and has an overall 25 years experience in world, US, and UK news. She has also interviewed the likes of Anna Delvey, the former NXIVM member, India Oxenberg. According to Sarah's LinkedIn, she studied newspaper journalism at the City University of London and earned her bachelor's degree in humanistic studies from Manchester Metropolitan University. Hmm. In a brief In brief, exploring the alleged smear campaign against Blake Lively. According to Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, he hired a PR team comprising of Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan, who reportedly attempted to sway the public opinion against Lively in favor of Baldoni ahead of the August 9th release of It Ends With Us. During the same the publicist duo seemingly exchanged text messages trying to find ways to discredit Lively. It says here, this is a quote: "We can't write it down to him. Yeah, we can't write it down to him. We can't write, we will destroy her." Bodani, it has in parentheses, has to look at it as an information document for us to be armed with. That's all. Imagine if a document saying all of the things that he wants end up in the wrong hands, Nathan allegedly wrote to Abel. Huh. In a separate text, she seemingly added, "You know, we can bury anyone, but I can't write that to Baldoni." It was reportedly followed by Abel telling Nathan that their online campaign in favor of their client, Justin Baldoni, was so freaking good and a total success. The latter allegedly responded by writing, "The majority of socials are so pro Justin, and I don't even agree with half of them." Laugh out loud. I mean, it's just so sinister and malicious, isn't it? Besides the allegedly planted pieces of how horrible, likely, unlively that is to work with. Uh-oh, there you go. And seemingly told an editor friend at the Daily Mail that they were ready when we are to run narratives against the Gossip Girl alum. The alleged text chain also named a man, Jed Wallace, whom Melissa reportedly credited as the one who pushed the shift in narrative about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni on social media. In a follow up text, Melissa seemingly shared how it proved people were still eager to hate on women. People are still eager to hate on women. Oh my God, that just makes me sad. That really, really makes me sad. People are eager to hate on women. Let's see. As per the suit, Abel and Nathan purportedly pushed a story on Daily Mail titled, "Is Blake Lively Set to Be Canceled?" String of hard to watch videos that have surfaced following tone deaf question and answers to promote It Ends With Us. Following its publication, Abel reportedly praised Nathan for outdoing herself with the piece, while the latter responded, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." The duo reportedly discussed being in the clear and surviving the alleged Blake Lively smear campaign as well. Mm-mm-mm. Isn't it awful? It is just awful. Lex says, "Life and Crime Sidebar on YouTube have the whole report on what they did to Blake Lively." Really? Jay Abel tried to okey doke Baldoni's former publicist too. Thank you so much for that, Legs. I am going to have to check that out. Life and Crime Sidebar on YouTube. Okay. Let me see. Life and Crime Sidebar. Life, Life and Crime Sidebar. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we got sound. Wow, that hasn't happened in a few days. Thank you, Marshar. That hasn't happened in a few days. Thank you, Lydia Washington. Um, thank you, Mama Janet. I was looking for something. But yeah, that hasn't happened in a few days. So I guess I consider myself lucky. So weird. I thought that that was fixed. I did a, what do you call it? I did the update on the iOS and I thought maybe that had fixed it, but maybe not. All right. So let's get back over here. So again, like I said, I saw the movie. It deals with domestic violence. If you find that triggering, I would say avoid it, skip it. But um I wanted to see it because I wanted to see what the, if there were any clues about these two having nothing to do with Megan. But yeah, it was very well made. I'll say that it was very well made, whatever was going on. Lady Rose, what is happening with Lady Rose Sussex? Oh no, I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better. Now, this is a spot of bother for the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton. And by the way, you guys, on one of those weekend panels, apparently some of the royalists, some of the Kate Middleton supporters, they do not like the fact that people are not addressing her as Kate Middleton in some articles, on some, I guess, platforms on social media. Now, the explanation that they gave is that most people, when they search, the algorithm searches for Kate Middleton. And it's the same with Meghan. I have been using Meghan Markle more often because it helps the algorithm. The Duchess of Sussex, for some people, it's just a bit confusing. They have been known as Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton for so long, Kate much longer, of course, that it affects the algorithm. And it's easier to search for things under their birth names. So that is why some people are still doing that. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to do that more often because, it helps people find your channel. It's unfortunate. I love saying Princess Meghan because it gets under people's skin. And I love that. Whenever I say Duchess Meghan, or should I say Princess Meghan, that is me being totally shady and also totally correct. I mean, she is a princess. So, but it has a dual purpose. That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to play this sound bite for you. And this is Kate seemingly acknowledging the fact that they're in separate households. Okay. Now let me find that one.
Pretty cool. Have you been looked after by your mum or by a nanny? By a nanny. With no, Has Prince George has he been looked after by your mum or by a nanny? By a nanny at the moment, but no, hopefully he's been a good boy. Has Prince George has he been looked after by your mum or by a nanny? By a nanny at the moment.
How is Prince George? Is he being looked at by your mom or by a nanny? And so when the lady asked the question, Kate was looking directly at her. First photo, top left. And then when Kate answered the question, she brushed her wiglet and turned her head to her left. And she said, "Buy a nanny for now. And hopefully he's being a good boy." Then she turns her head back to the lady. And then she ends with that, crap eating grin of hers. Now, there was someone who tried to say that this was not from Christmas Day, but I think it was because she's wearing the green coat with the plaid, or what do they call it? Tartan scarf, right? I do believe this is from that day. They tried to say that the earrings look different, but I'm just putting that out there, full disclosure, but I do believe it was the same day. I'm going to play it again just in case you couldn't hear it, but
has Prince George looked after by your mum or by a nanny? By a nanny at the moment, but no, hopefully he's been a good boy. Has Prince George has he been looked after by your mum or by a nanny? By a nanny at the moment, but no, hopefully he's been a good boy.
How is Prince George? Is he being looked at by your mom or by a nanny? That was a weird question. I mean, I'm going to just say I think it was rather personal, and I think it kind of puts Kate on the spot. I think it's a little too personal. I think it was a very intrusive question. And as nosy as I am, I I don't think that that was a fair question to ask Kate. But since we're on the topic, it does reinforce the idea that they are living in separate households, as though, and I kind of assumed that the heir was being raised by the heir. Okay? I just assumed that. I thought perhaps the other two children were kind of in between homes, right? But I assume that George would be close to his father. In that period of time when we did not see the children, the only child that we were able to see on one or two occasions was George. The other two children, they vanished. They didn't even come out for Easter. Vanzoli, you think maybe it was a setup? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I think it was a bit of an odd question to ask because it's so personal. How is George? Now, also, asking that question, it does seem like George is not there. So I'm going to leave it open to maybe this was a different occasion. Maybe. It was an odd question. I mean, George is getting on in years. How long do they keep the nannies? Is he above nanny age now or no? I don't know how they do these things. And of course, we know that William and Harry, um, they were pretty much raised separately. William would go for tea with his great grandmother, the Queen Mother. He would have tea with the Queen, and Harry, of course, was not invited. Yeah, Bonzola, I'm trying to be fair, and that's why I'm saying that I think the question was a bit of a setup. I do. And I'm wondering if they planted that question because they thought it might help the palace or help Kate, or was that question planted to help William, who was trying to do the single dad thing? I really can't say. I just thought it was a weird question. Beverly says, yes, it is an odd question. And how did that lady know to ask about George and not the other children? Yeah. I mean, I guess the only way that if I felt like doing it, would would to go and, you know, research that green beret coat and scarf combination. To the best of my knowledge, she wore a totally plaid tartan coat 13 years ago, and they were saying that on this occasion that coat and hat combination is almost identical to the other one, except the coat is a solid green, and that very same pattern that was the entire coat is now the scarf that she's wearing. So, and then, of course, let me take a look at the earrings from the other day. As a matter of fact, we can all take a look at the earrings from the other day. Let me just bring up the slides from yesterday, and I do believe it should be there because I want to be fair. I want to be fair. I don't want to make up stuff. I don't want to make up stuff. Okay, so I'm looking at that earring and I'm looking at those. Let me get this out the way here. You know what? I'm going to go and take a look at that video too so I can see how those earrings are moving. Okay. Well, okay. I think those are the same earrings. I think those are the same earrings. Of course, the photos are a bit grainy, so it's kind of hard to make it out, but I think it's the same. I believe it's the same. Huh. Well, like I said, I'm not interested in making up stuff, but I do believe it's the same. CK says Kate has other responsibilities, allegedly, and she should be able to say who is watching her kids while she works. Okay. This was from Christmas Day. Kate also said she hoped George was being a good boy, indicating she didn't know what was happening with her child. Okay. All right. Well, okay, I'm going to trust that because listen, I didn't see excuse me, the entirety of the Christmas Day thing. We've all seen different clips and such. So, um and again, there's the tartan plaid scarf and the green solid green coat and that hat. So, okay, let's just assume it is the same day. some wrinkles, same earrings. Oh, I'm sorry, same wrinkles. Oh, let me do this because it's moving. Thank you, Joy Moore. All right. Well, that is an odd answer. Okay. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm just saying that is a very odd answer. He's with the nanny right now, and I hope he's being a good boy. Oh, yeah, he was there. All three of the kids were there. That's why I say it seems kind of odd to me. But let's continue because I got some other stuff. So, December the 28th, Brian Moran says, I hope all is well at Sandringham. My spy in, is it Marylebone? Just saw this convoy heading in the general direction of King George VII's hospital at 8:30 this evening. Apology, 18:30 this evening at the what is that? That's 6:30 p.m., right? They sent this as well. So there was video and there was some still images. So let's go with the still image right there. Now, the reason why this is so interesting is because I don't know the exact geography, but according to Brian M., there should have been no one around to be in that motorcade at that hour, whatever that means. It is obviously the Royal Protection Officers. Those are their vehicles. Those are their vehicles. Now, they said in the general direction of George VII Hospital. I would think that anybody who was going to, let's say, a booty call would not be as obvious as this. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't want to be so obvious. You would be more discreet if you were just going to, meet someone romantically. So this is most likely an emergency for that reason. Now, I'm going to go to that. Let me see. Brian Moran. There was some comments that he made in the thread. And I do believe that this guy is a royalist. I believe he's a royalist. He appears to me to be someone who supports the royal family. That is what I got from viewing his Twitter account. Okay, that was June. I got to go back. He doesn't post a lot, so I'm just going to scroll back to that date. Okay, December 28th, 2023. So opening up that thread, when I go down the thread, it says, please stop tagging that disgusting individual into this post. He's a disgrace. I believe he's speaking about Omid Scobie. So that's why I say I think he's a royalist. So it's okay for Meghan to have, let me see. Okay, no, I'm not going to bother with that one. I see Sussex Soldier responded. She said, karma. All right. So here he says, senior members of the royal family travel this way, as does the prime minister. And that's about it. It was 28 December when no one was in London. It was only 6:30 in the evening, so nothing unusual in that. The reason this was sent to me is that no one was supposed to be here. You got that? That at that hour, just days after Christmas, I believe he's saying that no one is supposed to be here. And then later on, he replied, here meaning central London. Okay. Same thread. He replied, here meaning central London. And he hasn't taken it down. He hasn't taken it down. It's England, therefore, 28/12/23. So someone didn't understand the date. Um, and then, of course, someone said, waiting for Will and Kate divorce announcement. And Brian says, I hope you're not holding your breath. So that's why I think he's a royalist. And then Brian also says, yes, there are a lot of private hospitals in that direction, including George VII, the London Clinic, and the Princess Grace, etc. Who knows who was in the car or where they were going? So he did not identify that as Kate. Again, I'm looking at some of the threads. From that post, and he did not take it down. He says this has nothing to do with Harry and Meghan. Someone said, does this have anything to do with the rumor that a royal couple are expecting to divorce this year? Okay. Okay, I'm looking at some more of the thread. And then someone put into the thread. And by the way, if you don't understand what the thread is, this is responses to the original post. So that's what the thread is. But I think everybody knows what that means. Let me see. I sent it to their royal editor nearly 4 hours ago. So on January 17th, he sent this to, okay, it says, hi, Cameron. And I guess Cameron Walker, is that the guy from GB News? Let's see. It says, hi, Cameron. This is just around the corner from Harley Street, 28 December. So less than 3 weeks ago. So he sent this to Cameron Walker. And I'm guessing Cameron Walker is the guy from GB News. Let me see if there was a reply. I don't see one. Yeah. So the original post is still there. He has been responding to people since then. Of course, all of that has slowed down. Now, I'm going to play for you another soundbite. I'm going to play another soundbite. And this, of course, comes from Australian television. I don't want to show the video because I don't want to get in trouble for showing it. But even Australian television, what is it, Channel 7 in Australia, when they made that video about where is Kate Middleton, they included this video. The British tabloid media, to the best of my knowledge, has never, ever responded to anything to do with this video. They will not touch it. If you guys have seen any of the tabloids responding to this video, let me know. I do not believe they have. They won't touch it. They won't acknowledge it or anything. They just won't touch it, which makes me think that it is likely. Well, it's got to be one of the royals. They say only the prime minister and the royal family travels like this. So let me find. Oh boy. Oh, okay. I got it. Let me turn this on.
Really hard to imagine that because he died.
Oh no, that's 60 Minutes. I don't want that one. Oh, this is it. This is it.
Sandringham. It's the question that has taken over the internet. Where is Kate Middleton? Now, this is easy to dismiss as some sort of tinfoil hat conspiracy, but there are some very strange elements to this story, particularly when you look at the timeline of dates. So let's go back in time and do that. 12th of September 2023, Kate Middleton reveals a finger injury, which she claimed happened when she was trampolining with her kids. Innocent enough. Then, 3 weeks later, on the 5th of October, Kate is pictured with 2 fingers still bandaged together. Seems like it must have been a pretty rough trampolining injury. On the 22nd of December, Wills and Kate announced an official trip to Italy, scheduled for early 2024. Now, if you're planning major surgery of any kind for early 2024, it seems unlikely that you would also announce a trip to Italy at the same time. Then, December 25, Christmas Day 2023, the last verified public appearance of Kate Middleton and also of the 3 children. Everyone looks happy and healthy. December 28, 3 days later, an ambulance with police escort is seen flying out of Sandringham, where the royal family was spending Christmas. There was no statement from the royals as to what that was about. Then, January 17, 2024.
The Princess of Wales' condition potentially more serious, admitted to this London private hospital on Tuesday, undergoing planned abdominal surgery described as successful.
At this stage, the palace won't say exactly why the princess required surgery, choosing to keep her diagnosis private. But she is likely to stay in hospital for up to 2 weeks. All her engagements expected to be cancelled until after Easter.
It's announced that Kate Middleton is recovering in a hospital called the London Clinic. Now, during those 2 weeks, there are no reports of visits from her parents, her siblings, or her children. On January 18th, the day after surgery, Prince William visits the London Clinic. It was the first and last time he was known to visit, where she was allegedly in the clinic for another 2 weeks. On January 24, UK papers report that the inner circle of the Waleses were shocked to hear of Kate's surgery and that they weren't aware of any health issues. January 26, King Charles reportedly visits Kate in hospital, but still no known visits from her kids or parents or family. January 28, Spanish journalist Concha Calleja claims Kate Middleton is in an induced coma.
Woo! I love it. I love it. Ooh, that is so intense. I'm just so messy. Again, okay, let me just say this. The one part of that may not be accurate. An ambulance. There is no ambulance in the video, right? There is only this motorcade. I don't know if they got that wrong, or is that some detail that was missing from this tweet? Okay, did they get it wrong? Or is that a detail that's missing from this tweet? But whatever the case may be, the person who tweeted, Brian Moran, who is he a reporter? I can't remember. He seems to be of the opinion that there should have not been anyone around at that hour on that date that would require a motorcade, especially since that is the domain of the royal family, who should have been at Sandringham, and the prime minister. So I mean, it's not so late. It's 6:30 at night. It's the winter time, right? Just days after Christmas. But it does kind of make sense that someone who had a surgery announced on the 17th of January may have been someone who was in that motorcade on the 28th of December. Still, that would be a long time to be in a hospital, right? From the 28th till, gosh, I guess a month. That would be a month in a hospital. So if someone was in a hospital that long, then that person must have been really hurt. Um, yeah. Well, I don't know that Kate was hinting. I know that the press was saying that she was what is the word they use? Brooding. They referred to her as a brood mare or something like that, or brutish, something to that effect. Okay, Sister says, Baron, could the ambulance have been the first vehicle and the other cars followed? Maybe the person taking the picture missed it in the photograph or video. That is a possibility. That is a possibility because, I mean, I literally looked at the video not so long ago, and well, from what I can tell, there I didn't see an ambulance, but I did see the motorcade. So yeah, that's the only thing that I can get out of that, is that maybe the ambulance was the first vehicle. But let me see. I'm gonna go to those still photos that I have. I mean, you can see the vehicles turning the corner there, right? And in the distance, I don't make out anything that looks like an ambulance. It looks like a motorcade of 4 vehicles and possibly 1 or 2 motorcycles. That's it. So maybe they just got that part wrong. It is possible. And then, of course, what followed, we'll just take a brief look. I'm not going to go through all of that, but the Rolling Stone, the monarchy is dead. Long live the memes. With Kensington Palace royally screwing it up, we celebrate the one good thing to come out of the Kate Middleton mystery absence. It was such a big story. And once she said cancer, the whole thing just dissolved, disintegrated. TMZ turned, pretty much turned against the palace. They were asking, where's Kate Middleton? Because I believe that the staff at TMZ, even though it's owned by Murdoch, I believe, felt a bit used by the Sun releasing that fake farmers market video. So right here, King and Queen are joined by almost all of the family, should I say, for Christmas at Sandringham, including William and Kate, their children, the Tindos, Andrew, Fergie, while Harry and Meghan stay away. Could have been the same. Well, no, because of Andrew and Fergie. Well, anyway, they always say Harry and Meghan stay away. But royally united for Christmas. This is after Omid Scobie's book, like what, a month after his book? So Kate in the fall of 2023 was not looking well at all. And of course, she had the 2 fingers bandaged at a certain point, which is the one they said was the trampoline accident. And right there, when she's walking out of the church with Louis, I don't have the close-up handy, but I thought her face looked kind of poor. The motorcade would not have been so much of a problem by itself, but all of the lies that followed in rapid succession following the incident, explaining what happened was, and then disappearance lies. Well, the fact that the tabloids will not mention the motorcade, they won't even say that it has nothing to do with anything. They just won't talk about that motorcade. I have been waiting and waiting and waiting to hear an explanation, and they won't talk about it. Now, it could have been some type of abdominal problem, and the surgery was scheduled for later. I mean, just that simple. They could just say that, but they won't. They just won't touch it. And right here, January 18th, one day after Kate's surgery was announced, Prince William is seen visiting her in the hospital. No, we saw William heading in that direction. We never saw William emerge from the vehicle. We saw Charles emerge from his state Bentley or Range Rover, whatever it was. We saw Camilla exit the vehicle. But for some strange reason, we never saw William exit that vehicle. I'm just saying. January 18th, People magazine states that William has shifted his schedule to support his wife and is expected to postpone engagements to be by Kate's side and support their family. They have 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Again, we only ever saw William head in the direction of the hospital on the 18th. And then, of course, when Kate supposedly left the hospital, again, we saw him head in that direction. We never saw him exit the vehicle. And what we saw in the next vehicle is someone who looks identical to Christian Jones, whom, William is very close to, right? And then the 29th of January, King Charles is discharged from the clinic and is photographed leaving with his wife. So they could photograph the king, but you have not seen anybody come or go from that hospital for Kate. February 5th, Buckingham Palace announced the King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer and has commenced a schedule of regular treatments, but says that he will still be undertaking state business and official paperwork. Interesting to note that this statement concludes with saying that Charles chose to share his diagnosis to prevent speculation, which almost seems like a shot at the Waleses' secrecy surrounding Kate's health and the increasing rumors. There was just no reason for all of the mystery. Okay, January 27th. Camilla, Charles' wife, visits him in hospital 3 times within 24 hours. Remember I said that? She was popping in and out of that place like a jack in the box. Bum blum 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 bum blum dun 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 dun. Pop goes the weasel. Right? 3 times. Dun 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 dun. Pop goes the weasel. It was like she was trolling them 3 times in one day. Camilla was doing costume changes just to make sure that people noticed that she was in and out that hospital. And every time she came and went from that hospital, she had that big, stupid grin on her face. Every time. I promise you guys, she was trolling Will and Kate. She was trolling them and doing a good job of it, too. If she was doing anything, she was sending the message that I'm here for my husband. There's nobody here for Kate. Or she was trying to tell us that Kate is not here. January 29th, Kensington Palace announces that Kate has returned home to Windsor to continue her recovery from surgery and that she is making good progress. There are no photos of her leaving the hospital. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Legs. As Legs is just, let me see here. Wait, Grimace saw him bearing randomly on her walk, which by itself doesn't sound real that she was walking anywhere. But Rebecca English claims that she happened to be in the area going to see a doctor or going to a medical facility or something, and she just happened to see William um, coming or going to the hospital to visit Kate. It wasn't either of those occasions where William was seen driving toward the hospital. It just happened to be another occasion. And the reason why that happened is because there were even royalists, there were derangers that were asking, where is William? Where is her mother, her father? Pippa was on vacation somewhere, and the dog food maker, the marshmallow man, he never showed up at the hospital either. You guys, two things that don't make sense. Oh, by the way, thank you so much, Legs. Two things that don't make sense. Announcing surgery of the King and the Prince of Wales on the same day. That never made any sense, because if neither one of these surgeries were emergencies, there was no need to announce them, what, within 45 minutes of each other? It seemed like one announcement was made to cover for the other, right? The other thing that never made any sense is that you don't see anyone from her immediate family, from her family of birth, coming or going to that hospital. If for no other reason but to help boost the morale of the nation, there was no vigils. You never saw any like flowers. And of course, Rebecca English, who has an answer for everything, swears up and down that the reason why you don't see it is because the press was trying to respect their family privacy. Really? Respect their privacy? Let me do that again. Blum 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 blum. Pop goes the weasel. What about her privacy? What about Charles' privacy? I would think that the privacy of the monarch is just as sacred as the privacy of the Princess of Wales. Which leads us to another thing that doesn't make sense. For some reason, we're led to believe that they were after her medical records, but not the king, as if Kate's medical records would destabilize Western civilization. That never made any sense. And then what about the guy? Remember the blogger or whatever? Remember they had an investigative report and nobody would sign up, would attribute their name to the report. They went to his neighbors because he was saying something about, I forget what the accusation was, but it had something to do with Kate. And they would not identify who investigated him. They just put the article out there. They attributed the article to the Daily Mail, but there was no mention, just like with Kate's Renaissance Jesus sitting on the bench video. There is no mention of who the camera crew was. There was no credit for production rights. They only said BBC. Why so much secrecy? You won't say who made that video, and you won't mention who investigated that kid that they outed, that they doxed, that the Daily Mail doxed. They won't take any credit for it. Although I must say, Rebecca English was excited to tell everybody that the article was outing this kid to his neighbors. They were going to his neighbors, such and such and such. Did you know that? Legs, I do remember that. because one of, I think it was, was it GB News? One of the people on GB News said that she could not convalesce at Adelaide Cottage. That Adelaide Cottage is one of the coldest places. I mean, it was so exaggerated. Adelaide Cottage is one of the coldest royal residence that ever has been, and it's not a very comfortable place. I mean, they did everything to talk down Adelaide Cottage. If it was so bad, why did you move the children into it if it was so bad? If it was so bad, why would you move the children into that house, let alone the future king and the future queen? Why would you move a family into a house that is so cold and so drafty that Kate Middleton could not possibly recover from whatever treatment she had? You see, they just pick and choose the details as they go along. Whether or not it makes sense is anybody's guess. But yeah, I remember that. And then they were talking about putting up a special hospital ward at Admiral Hall. A hospital ward for what? What, a padded room? Is that what they required? A padded room? I mean, I can recall my grandmother having a mastectomy, all of the swelling of her arm and everything. They didn't change houses. They couldn't. So what was all the fuss about a non-cancer treatment that required 2 Filipino nurses? William's words, not mine, that required 2 Filipino nurses. For something that was so non-life threatening in the moment, I cannot understand why so much medical intervention. I've seen people go through cancer treatment. Aside from the weakness, the loss of hair, appetite, and such, they're still in the same house with their families. They have a staff of what, 62 people. And of course, all of the Middletons were going to pitch in to help take care of her. So Charles, who was rushed to the hospital, so not to alarm the country, they used Kate for the announcement. That's why Sway Sway wasn't sick. They didn't even have to announce anything. They didn't even, when the Queen went to the hospital, they didn't make a big fuss out of it. Remember the one night the Queen stayed at the hospital and the tabloids got upset because they didn't know. They knew she went to a hospital visit, but they did not know that that visit required an overnight stay. The Queen managed to go to and from the hospital without anybody knowing it. It wasn't until weeks or months later that they said that the Queen had stayed in the hospital overnight. So when they need to do something private, they can make it private. When they want to make a public spectacle of it, they can do that too. So I'm thinking whatever was going on with Charles, they did not have to announce that. It was enough that you had mumbles in the news. Charles could have very discreetly, because post-Christmas, you don't see a lot of the royals anyway. You don't really see them pick up again until after the, what do you call that? The Empire Commonwealth Day. That's when they really started to pick up. So the whole rollout just did not make sense. It just did not make sense to me why they would announce both of those on the same day. It wasn't necessary. And as for Kate staying at Adelaide Cottage, why even make a big deal out of it? She could have gone to Windsor Castle. She could have gone to any place. They didn't have to announce that. But they had to make this big deal about how cold Adelaide Cottage was. For the months that after this so-called cancer, non-cancer, no, it isn't cancer, but it is cancer. For all those months, it seems as though Kate was moving about in relative peace and tranquility without anybody knowing the difference. It's amazing how very few images of them ever make it to social media. Very few. When they really need to do something, they get in a helicopter. Nobody's the wiser. Harry, Meghan, and the two children went to Windsor Castle unnoticed. So I don't buy that they have to explain all these things or they have to reveal all these things. But it must be some reason why they do it. Kate Middleton breaks cover. Smiling Princess of Wales is pictured with Prince William during visit to farm shop in image that will silence the conspiracy theorists. So old picture on the left, fake person in the middle, Franken photo on the right, and the farmer's market bottom right. Whoever this Kate Middleton is was moving so fast. If she could walk that fast, she can go to work. But apparently, she was too ill to work. And according to computer analysis, or whatever software, this is a possible 33-year-old woman, not Kate Middleton. The software reckons Kate Middleton is late 40s to early 50s. And I'm not saying that to be funny. That is what the software said. When they used that, whatever software that the FBI uses, they could not identify that person as Kate Middleton. And the official Kate Middleton, well, not official, but one of the people who is a Kate Middleton impersonator has gone silent. She's not talking. None of this made any sense. So whether you want to start January the 17th or December the 28th, there seems to be a shroud of secrecy surrounding all of this. And then there you go. The 173 days Kate was away left a huge hole in the nation's heart. It was so huge that there was absolutely no vigil outside of the hospital, right? There was very little mail, because if there was some, they would have showed it. Very little mail. Mostly what we got were complaints about Kate managing to skip the queue for medical care. And we got lots of stories about people who waited or just died because they couldn't see a doctor. That's what we got. 173 days. So we did not see Louis or Charlotte for 173 days. And nobody says anything about it. 173 days, those kids were gone. George popped up with Willie at, I think, a football game or whatever, maybe on 2 occasions. But other than that, 173 days. Or what about William going to a pub and having a drink with Carol Middleton? No pictures, none. Kate went to a family event, right? Before the farmer's market, they went to some family event, some picnic or something. No photos. Billy returns to public after Godfather's funeral with bruises, well, memorial service, because he didn't go to the funeral either, with bruises on his neck and drink pal gone, but Billy wasn't there if anyone wonders what legal action might befall a Prince of Wales. And remember, too, that 4 well-known tabloid reporters, Roy Anika, Richard Eden, Rebecca English, and I forgot who the other was, all 4 of them just spontaneously tweet out of nowhere that William's absence from the memorial service had nothing to do with Thomas Kingston. Nobody was thinking about it. Nobody had brought it up. Nobody cared. And yet, they just, out of the blue, decide to tell people, whatever you think, it had nothing to do with Thomas Kingston. Nothing whatsoever. So when the toxic British press said to lay off Kate and give her privacy, what they really meant was that they want to control the narrative. They want to control the narrative. That's what they really meant. That's what they meant then, and that's what they mean now. They want to control the narrative. They have successfully eliminated Rose Hanbury from the media. They have completely removed the notion of her. The last time we heard about her, Messy Camilla made sure that the Daily Mail ran an article that she was spending the afternoon with her, and then after that, gone. Not a single word, nothing. It's as though she never exists. And they said at the time, I forgot who said it, that they were trying to remove her from the media, and they did. She has been successfully removed from the consciousness of the world. And then after 173 days, my fair kitty, she's not out of the woods, but she wants to go to Wimbledon. And so to go to Wimbledon, she had to go to Trooping the Colors. She didn't want to be there, but she had to go because that's the only way she could justify Wimbledon. That's the only way she could justify it, was to go someplace she didn't want to be, because remember, she's not out of the woods yet. And there's her family looking just as happy and content as ever. In that 173 days, what happened to those children? What happened to those children in 173 days? Were they given some intense counseling? Had they witnessed something? What happened to those kids in 173 days? There were no confirmed public sightings of Kate Middleton for 173 days. And they thought that that was nobody's business. They, of course, being Kensington Palace, that is nobody's business. And the people that supposedly love Kate Middleton didn't care enough to ask where she was. They didn't even care about the children. Okay, we're back with sound. Sorry about that. They didn't even care enough to ask about the children. 173 days. They didn't even show up for Easter. I can't get over the fact that they didn't even show up for Easter. And then when they do show up, take a look at them. Look at the state of them. Look at the state of those children. Their arms locked to their sides. They're avoiding eye contact with her. What happened? Baron, why Kate looks 15 years younger on Trooping the Color Day, but now looks 15 years older now? That's a good question. That is a good question. That is hard to explain. Now, I know when people get the filler, do you guys remember when Demi Moore had the filler and her face looked like some type of, I don't know, kabuki theater or something? And then now that the initial swelling has gone down, she looks beautiful. I mean, that is part of the process. That is part of the process. So I don't know that she had filler. I'm going to allege that she may have had filler, but whatever she has done, you know, I'm going to be very charitable and say that it cannot be easy for any woman to age publicly. It cannot be easy. And for Kate Middleton, whose only asset is her looks, it's certainly not her conversation, it's her looks. That's the only thing she has as an asset is her looks. Take away that, and there's no there. She's not particularly witty. She can barely construct a sentence. The only thing that makes her look competent and credible is when she sits at a table with other people. And that is the extent of her, public image is her clothes, her looks, and can we put her at a table with other people? Oh, what did I miss? With all that money, they can't heat the place for KK to stay there. Apparently not. Apparently not. One of those people, I promise you, that person said it was one of the coldest places, or the coldest royal residence. They made it sound like it was the North Pole. Now, even Queen Elizabeth used a space heater on occasion. But, it's an old house. It's drafty. But with some triple pane windows and such, it could be like anybody else. Oh, yeah, that's been something that has plagued her for a while. I don't know, you guys. That is Sandringham. That is where they usually spend Christmas. Now, there's no official count of how many bedrooms there are, but on occasion, when the whole family is there, they can really fill that place up. This year, there was no Will, there was no Kate, there were no Wells children. And with all likelihood, I don't think Camilla's family was there either. I don't know who they filled the place up with, but the family is pulling further apart. They're not closer together. They're further apart than ever. And for whatever reason, they decided they needed to chase Andrew and Fergie away. The British public doesn't care about Andrew. There's probably a very vocal, well, not so vocal minority of people. Most people don't care that Andrew shows up. It seems like the tabloids are fixated with Andrew, not the public. Not the public. So why he's being targeted again for the old business of being what is it, the financial, whatever that thing, that job they gave him at large, is though they're trying to cover for something else. I'm just glad they're not messing with Harry and Meghan. But they're covering for something else. Oh, well. Connie Balmer, look at what I've done with that card that you sent me. I stretched it out. I used my talents to stretch it. See? That's the original. And then I stretched it so that it would be panoramic. Yeah, I love that card. Thank you again for that. And check it out. 1920s Chicago, Michigan Avenue, the Art Institute of Chicago on the right side. There's the famous lions of the Art Institute. What a beautiful wintry scene. And I mentioned this a while ago, that Mark Dolan said, if anything happens to Prince Harry or his family, the authorities would have blood on their hands. Now, considering some of the terrible things that he said, calling Meghan, comparing Meghan to Yoko Ono and all that, this is probably the most generous he's ever been toward them. Now, his background is comedian. He's not really a journalist. But when a person is right, you just have to go with it. And he's absolutely right. If anything happens to that family, they're responsible. Now, he can't say the king, I'll say it, but he can't say it in his position. But it really does come down to that. The, what do you call that? The Ravek people, part of Ravek is the royal household. And the royal household is of the opinion that the Sussexes do not deserve the same level of protection that the rest of the family receives. And that being the case, then he's absolutely right. That's right, Marshar. That's right. There are no leaks in Montecito. And he always knew he was a little different, but he let his light shine regardless of what others said. Be more like Rudolph. Yeah, we should all be more like Rudolph. No matter what they say, we should always allow our light to shine. For the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Yeah, for the lovers, the dreamers, and me. That's what it says in the small print at the bottom. And with that, you guys, I am done. I'm going to stick around and look at some of your comments, but I believe January 17th, we're going to talk some more about Kate and, the whole thing, because I'm pretty sure that they're going to, hopefully they're going to leak something in the tabloids, because I believe some of the things that they have not been able to say, someone may just, put something in between the lines that we can kind of figure out something. We'll see how it goes. But until such time, I'm just going to say I believe that so much of the rollout of her illness or her non-illness was poorly handled. And I do believe that Buckingham Palace had to step in and try to clean up their mess. Also, I believe at the time that both father and son, stepmother and wife, are feuding. There's a feud there. You don't see them having any warm exchanges publicly, especially for Christmas. There seemed to be no conversation, none. Sonia Johnson, you're quite welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Thank you so much, Hazel Jones. I did. I kind of feel like I need to look at it again, but I did. I think you sent like maybe 4 emails and I caught up with all of them. Good night, Elaine Parker. Thank you for spending some time with us. December 30th. So tomorrow, the 31st, don't forget, we're going to have our marathon. I'm going to come on a little earlier for sure. Not that he deserved, not that he doesn't, okay, one more time. Not that he doesn't deserve the heat, but King Charles are using Andy as a scapegoat. They spent more time on Andy's Chinese connection, but then went to talk about Anne's children and also Charles III. Yeah. Yeah, and the Chinese connection is old news. It is old news. As well he should. There should be no secrets. There should be no secrets because as far as I'm concerned, we all should know the way of our enemies. And if the enemy is your in-laws, you really need to know that. Good night, FG. Oh, thank you, Connie Balmer. Cookies and Cream says, everyone, please keep playing Polo. Play it on multiple devices if possible. Let's help to make it #1 before the end of the year. Hear, hear. Are you serious? Wait, the total loss of inventory has been estimated at $246.19. Oh, man. Thank you, Connie Balmer. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Gosh, I wish I knew what this was all about. I tell you, this is like it's like a soap opera. I really want to know what happened. I really, really want to know what happened. Hmm. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna go. Any last comments? Any juicy bits of gossip? Oh, sister, I just saw this. Um, well, the way that they look at their mother is rather strange. When they went to the Christmas Carol, it just seemed like, you look at your mom, you smile. Now, to be fair, there were all those cameras there, and that could make it difficult for anyone. But those so-called body language experts, they really need to examine that whole family. Stop telling us what the tabloids want you to tell us and tell us what you really see. Absolutely. Very honest man. Ciao, Maurice Brown. Ciao. Yvonne Clark, you're talking about at the Wimbledon when she was playing that game with what's his name? That was a bad idea, and the wife was angry. Yeah, it was pretty tacky on her part. The Life and Crime Report. Life and Crime Report. Oh, you know what? That's what I didn't put was report. No wonder I couldn't find it. Blake Lively. Okay, Legs. I see law and crime, but I don't see life and crime. Do you mean life and crime? Shocking new details are emerging about um, the behind the scene drama between Blake Lively and It Ends With Us co star. Oh, right here, connection by the, what is it? Oops, I meant law and crime sidebar. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, I see it then. I see it. I'm going to watch it. That should be very interesting. They had great chemistry. That was a really good movie. That was a really good movie. If you think you can tolerate it, if it will not trigger you, I promise you that was a really good movie. I didn't even think I was going to watch the whole thing, and but I did. I did. Yep, I did. All of the characters, they it was some great acting and the direction. I have to say the whole production and direction was very good quality. Well, they could be trying to, well, I'll just put it to you like this. They seem to have turned William against the memory of his mother. Now, that's his mother. I don't know how he feels inside, but it seems as though they have turned him against Diana and her memory. So if they were able to do that to Diana, imagine what kind of impression that they could make upon George. Yep. Imagine what kind of impression they could make upon George. If it's anything that institution is good at, and that is brainwashing people. When they accused Harry of being brainwashed in California, that was definitely projection. The brainwashing takes place on the other side of the ocean. Okay, you guys, this is a work night, so I should go. I'm just in such a mood to gossip, you know what I mean? What? Baldoni, ex-publicist, is the only one Blake Lively didn't sue. The ex-publicist now sued Baldoni as well. That's awkward. That's awkward. Now, from what I heard, is that Baldoni wanted to get ahead of Blake Lively. He thought that Blake Lively was going to try to get him canceled. And so he decided to go after her first, or to try to hit her first. You know what I mean? That's what I heard some time ago. So I don't know how they got to this place, but I am fascinated by the story, which is interesting because usually stuff like this, I don't really pay much attention to it. But now that I've seen the movie, I feel invested and I want to know what the truth is. Hi, Vicky Chavez. Yes, brainwashing. Well, so are you saying that, let me see, he did go after her first with his ex publicist? Her head person was Abel and or Abel, didn't like the ex publicist, so she wanted to screw her and take clients, which she did. Okay. Oh, sister, sister. Now that puts a whole nother spin on it, because things like that can and will happen. But what if, sometimes when the man introduces the issue, they try to blame someone else for something they brought home. You know what I mean? They try to blame someone else for something that they brought home. And even though he knows that he's lying and she knows that he's lying, um, still, usually the woman gets the worst end of it. So, you know, that happens sometimes. But because they don't impress me as being particularly intelligent people. And I could imagine that they have played it fast and loose. Yeah, fast and loose here and there. And because of their superior breeding, they don't think that they're subject to the same laws of nature as the rest of us. So that could be the issue. I mean, it's just open to so much speculation. I don't know. I don't know. It could go either way. Just like Willie, it could go either way. But if anything can wreck a marriage, that would do it. Because you can never trust that other person again. But if there was any physical violence, that would explain a long hospital stay. That would explain that. Or if they were not at the hospital that entire time, I don't know. I'm really reaching this time. And I hope that there wasn't. I hope that nobody was, injured. But we do know that the tabloids will not mention his temper anymore. They don't talk about William having a temper. They don't talk about him being incandescent with rage. All they say is that he may never speak to his brother again. But before, that was all they talked about. And even after January 17th, there was still articles, she can give it as well as she can take it as well as she can give it. And sometimes she's your friend 1 minute and your worst enemy the next. And then they're like, oops, that's an article about Harry, not about Kate. And before the 17th, remember they were saying that they would have these huge blowups and that they would always come back together again. I remember that. Yeah, no more seething. He's not seething anymore. And the palace Kensington Palace has yet to deny that William attacked Harry. It's always interesting the things that they will not deny. There's a lot of things that they won't deny. W. Ed, thank you so much. Greetings from Zambia. Thank you. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go for real. Thank you so much for all of the juicy gossip, and thank you for all your ideas and opinions. I rather enjoy it. Okay, Marshar, Sonia Johnson. Yes, sister, they would throw things at each other. That was one of the articles. And if those things were not true, it seems like they would have made a big stink about it. Oh, that porphyria, whatever they call it, like George III. Well, he seems to function rather well. He seems to function well, except for those days when he's swaying back and forth. But when he needs to give a speech, he does he's not a great speaker, but he can get through it. Which is more than you could say for his wife, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. L Bell says, no, Baron, that was the Christmas Day 2024. Some squatties have pointed out that on X, George was with her that day, so her response is odd. Well, if you all remember when they went to go and visit the first responders of that incident, when she was wearing that brown coat and she got up to walk away, and one of her handlers ran behind her. She stayed off to the side, but people said it seemed as though they did not want Kate to speak to anyone unsupervised. Remember that? Some of the squatties were of the opinion that they seemed to want to make sure that Kate is not speaking to anyone unsupervised by one of the staff people or without William. Well, thank you for that, L Bell. Oh, yeah, you could understand every word. You could understand every word. Well, I don't want her to dress like Meghan either, but I don't want her to get hurt. I don't want her to get hurt. I thought she meant his regular day-to-day care. Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was a day-to-day thing. Or did I? I don't remember. I don't know what I thought. Great point, Sonia Johnson. That's true. They make almost zero mistakes. You're right about that. Oh, yeah. Slip another note. I still think that it is connected with the Epstein files. I think that he was notified her name would be leaked. Yeah, that did come out about that time, didn't it? That did come out around that time. It seems to coincide with that. Yeah, the family, 2023 was a rough year for them. And 2024 doesn't seem to be any better. But so much changed with Omid Scobie's book. That was very obvious. But the other thing that Legs is talking about now, that was a little bit more, subvert or covert, subvert. So anyway, it wasn't so obvious. But I'm sure that given the names like Richard Branson, and some of the other famous people. Because if you recall, the article from the Daily Mail listed all of these big corporations that rented that boat. Yep. Thank you. Oh, yeah, when she did a curtsy seemingly from nowhere or to no one. It was almost as though, you know how they used to say she never puts a foot wrong? I would have thought the curtsy should have happened immediately stepping out of the vehicle. But then she goes, up to that platform and waits until they turn. Usually that is rehearsed. It was almost as though she wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. They don't usually get stuff like that wrong. Usually it's the guest, right? It's the visitor who has the misstep. It's not usually the member of the family. Okay, Mashar. Yes, yes. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's what I was saying yes to. When she tried to go to the bathroom, the people whose kids died in London, she left and the handler flew right after her off screen. They didn't want her alone. Exactly. That's what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. She turned to walk away wherever she was going. And then you could see that handler way off to the side, kind of sticking to the wall like a little mouse running through a room or whatever. You know how they stay close to the corners? That's how that handler was. And she was moving fast too. She was moving very fast. That was strange. Yeah, and you know what? Um, when it comes to The Crown, the last two seasons seem to have been written by the palace. And they wanted William to seem very pious and honest and forthright. They wanted Harry to be the way he was. And of course, they wanted Princess Diana to seem like she was in over her head. They blamed Al Fayed, right? Um, they made Dodi seem like a nice guy, although he was on the nose candy, of course. So it was not favorable to brown people, except for the Duke of Windsor's butler. He came out looking good. Um, but yeah, they seem to want Charles to have been the hero. And that thing with Olivia Colman going to the Britannia just to spend some time, that never happened. But they added that because the Queen died, right? They added that into the storyline. But it seemed to me, and Peter Morgan has won one of those OBEs or whatever. Peter Morgan seems to be friends with Charles and Camilla. So how could it go any other way but their way? All of that caution about don't watch it, don't watch it. I don't see why not. Peter Morgan is a royalist. So Charles came out smelling like a rose. And Camilla, she didn't do too bad either. Uh-oh, Marshar. What happened to her female bodyguard and her husband? Now that's deep. Mm-hmm. It really did. It really did. What you call it? It really did prove a lot of the things that Meghan had said. And of course, a lot of the critics that have said that that family mistreats women. It has validated all of that. Well, sadly for Kate, um, sadly for her, she, I don't even want to say what a terrible situation she's in, but I'll just say this. If she is not wanted by that institution, that will be her undoing. If that institution rejects her, she'll be in a lot of trouble. Because after you leave that institution, you have no power. A woman has no power after leaving that institution. It's much worse for a woman to leave the institution than for a man. Well, didn't Charles go and clear out her loyal staff and replace them with people of his own choosing to make sure that whatever the queen said, whatever she tried to do, was funneled past him first? Yeah, yeah. They're all just like a chromosome away from hemophilia. Yeah. They're all just one chromosome, one gene away from hemophilia. And lunacy. Oh, really? Okay. Got about 2 minutes, but Blake Lively was being dogged when she asked about where is Kate, and it was during her working on the Netflix movie. Okay. So when she started asking questions, that's when okay, I got it. And we're assuming that William wants another woman. We're assuming that what he wants is another woman. Maybe that's not what it is. Maybe that's not what it is. Now, it would be fascinating if William ever, came out. I'm not assuming that that would happen. I'm not even so sure that they could ever divorce. Look at the Duchess of Kent. She had struggles too. She had to retire and become Roman Catholic. The Duchess of Kent had to become a Roman Catholic, or was she a Roman Catholic before? Teeth? What teeth? Does anyone think King Charles does that teeth thing to William? He clearly did it to Harry and Meghan. I feel that. Are you saying teeth? Huh, okay. Ruth C., good morning. Just woke up. Greetings from cold England. Not so bad. No snow to date. Thank you, Baron, for all your hard work. And thank you, Squatties. Still we rise. Absolutely, we're still rising. Well, thank you for being here, Ruth C. And a fine good morning to you as well. Oh yeah, and don't forget German. They were German cousins. Okay. He probably had already employed the hate people to get Blake. Remember, Blake, like others, did the apology. Oh, did she? Now, I don't remember what she said. Um, oh, yes, I do remember. Okay. I do remember she had said something about Kate and then she apologized. I do remember that. Yes, unfortunately we really need to go. I'm just full of gossip tonight. Oh, baring his teeth. Oh, like I got it. With like he did with the inkwell. With that inkwell. Got it. I got it. Thank you so much. Yeah, but then of course the children. It's always the children. Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much, Lex. Sorry about that. Yeah, and then Camilla, it's going everywhere. Camilla, instead of her trying to say, oh, it's okay, she's like, yeah, and it's running everywhere too. Oh, I hate those bloody pens. Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I did not realize that. She was Anglican, but retired and changed religion and was left in peace. Some of her kids converted too. Oh, okay. Well, if that'll get them off of you. Oh, no, I loved her. I used to be sad. I used to be shy. Funniest thing, the saddest part is I never knew why. Kicking myself for nothing was my favorite sport. I had to get out and start enjoying 'cause life's too short. There's a new girl in town and she's looking good. Got a smile, got a song for the neighborhood. There's a fresh, freckled face, and she's going to see. Yeah, I loved Alice and Mel's Diner. Well, you got me up here, God knows what time, singing the theme song for Alice. Fum, 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 fum. Yeah, I would say that his he's definitely picked up Charles' attitude. And the fact that William has grown so large makes some people afraid of him. Um yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I believe that what was already a terrible thing with Charles has been amplified with William. I don't think William was bullied the way Charles was. So Charles just a spoiled brat, but William is a bully in his own right. I don't know that Charles um, was a bully in his childhood. I don't think he was, but I think when he got older, then he turned into a bully. But William, he was a bully from day one. And that's probably why he has that scar over his eye because somebody was like, you know what? I know how to take care of you. No, I didn't hear that, Denise Marcus. Are you serious? We're not talking about the singer, are we? Because you know they no, she's okay. I don't know who you're talking about then. Um you know, you got to be careful with those because a lot of those you know, if it's not all over the news, then in all likelihood it's not true. Okay. Yeah, that is not true. I'm looking right now and there's nothing about that. Not a thing. That would have been all over the place. Yeah, you got to be careful with those because you know they have those videos where they just want you to click the link and they'll say tragedies such and such and such and such. So you have to be really careful with those. I recommend that you keep at least 3 news services that you can check, you know, to make sure and verify certain things because you definitely don't want to be the source of misinformation like that. It can come back to haunt you. Yep, it can come back to haunt you. Now, always verify. MSN makes a lot of mistakes. And I tell you, one thing you could do is go to Wikipedia, because I'm always amazed at how fast Wikipedia can update someone's status. So um, that is a great place to go. Um, and if it doesn't sound right, if it's too shocking, just Google, that person, and just to make sure, because if it is true, then you know there'll be 1,001 articles filling up the screen. Huh. The milkman, huh? Not the milkman. Shouldn't the milkman be retired somewhere in South Florida? Mm-mm. Wow, this is interesting. Did he really tweet that? Um, the person who owns that car company, let me see if that's a real tweet. Okay, I don't think that's a real tweet. Never mind, won't even bore you with it. But the tweet said something about mysterious circumstances. You know, if something mysterious happens. But I don't think that was a tweet from him. God, whoever this Candace Holmes is, she really, what do you call it? She really trolls the royal family. Wow, Andrew Lonnie, why the silence from the royal family? These were trips paid by the taxpayers. We need to know who accompanied Andrew and why. So Andrew Lonnie, that's the one who wrote the book about, Zara and Peter Phillips, Zara Tyndall and Peter Phillips. He's the one who wrote the book saying that Zara, Peter, and um, Sarah, he's the one that wrote the book, or has a book coming out about Andrew. And he's asking why the silence from the royal family. These trips were paid for by taxpayers. We need to know who accompanied Andrew. Royal family's deafening silence is deafening. Taxpayer funded trips, but zero transparency. Who accompanied Andrew on these lavish adventures? And why are they hiding the truth? The people have a right to know. So they're not done with that story yet, because I think the book hasn't been released yet, has it? Yeah, it happens, But, if that did happen, of course, I would have, in all likelihood, spoke about it because I tend to keep up with the headlines, because of work. I usually keep up with those headlines, but I I could only say that we all just need to be very careful because it it warrants check, double check, triple check, especially for something or for someone like Fantasia, because gosh, that would be a tragedy because she's so young. But yeah, I have a friend that from time to time, um, she gets kind of cross with me because I I'm like, where'd you see that? Who said that? And it's not because I don't trust or believe, but when it's something sensational, I really want to know w- where it started from and, what context, what this, and not just about someone dying, but, anything. I really want to know the details. And for certain, I need to know that it's coming from a proper news organization. Okay, you guys, marathon is over. We're going to do the marathon on New Year's, right? I cannot believe it's still that many people here, but I'm just enjoying the gossip and such, but we really should get going. Don't you think we should? Ingrid Soares, how long have you been here? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I didn't know you were here. Oh no, I'm sorry, Denise, that happened. I really am. I'm sorry, but you know what? It's not going to happen again because, um, yeah, just make sure you check and double check something that big because it always looks very believable. It always looks very believable, but um, I'm amazed, and it's not your fault. I am amazed at some of the misinformation that they get away with. And it seems like it's mainstream, but it's not. Oh, thank you, Compton Calico. M. Covington, welcome. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And you know what? I've done all my errands. I even went to the grocery store today, so I don't really have anything to do, but I have promised myself that I'm not going to sleep so late. I have promised myself. And what's bad is that I'm kind of hungry now. But if I eat something, then I'm going to have to stay up for at least 3 hours to digest it. So I better not. I better find something nice and light to munch on. But yeah, I'm kind of hungry. Because now that I think of it, I think I had one meal today. Hmm. But I did snack a bit, so not terrible. Yeah, I am hungry. Oh, oh, Denise Marcus, don't worry about it. It's just one of those things. No, it should not happen, but um It can and will happen, and it can happen to any of us. Oh, they're saying Donald Trump. They say that Donald Trump's inauguration might be overshadowed by Jimmy Carter's death. Well, um, it's not going to be a lot of people to tune in anyway, right? The first inauguration didn't garner much attention, so I doubt if this is going to be the big one. Shocking moment. Jimmy Carter left the Queen Mother horrified by kissing her on the lips. I'm horrified hearing about it. I could just upchuck hearing about it. You know what? I am overdue for a food truck video. I really am. I am overdue for a food truck video. I have not performed well this month. I'll say that. I mean, the quality, sure, but is as usual. But I haven't done any of my food truck videos, and I like doing those because, um, they're I I learned doing it right or making them, and then I can share some stuff with you all, and you know what I mean, stuff that you otherwise would have missed. So I appreciate you mentioning that. What's that? Is not he is saying he get a jacket. What's a jacket? What is a jacket? Oh, Angela Stanley, that is brilliant. I didn't think about that. They're going to use that as an excuse for the poor showing or the poor ratings. Yeah, got it. Thank you so much. Now that is absolutely brilliant. Good morning, Rory. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I love Jimmy Carter too. I hope Lydia Washington has gone to sleep. Sorry if you're still up. uh, I'm sorry if you're still up. It is a work night, isn't it? Okay. All right. I'm actually skimming through the news as we speak. Let me see what else is on Twitter. Legacy of Freedom Ball, Black Conservative Federation. Oh, they're going to have a ball for the Black Republicans. Oh, let me see. I don't know how many of them there are. Well, I thought we did that already, but yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I even recommended people go to Netflix so that they can watch it. Yeah, that was fantastic. Oh my goodness. They're saying that Jimmy Carter, okay, this photo, I'll show you. They're saying that Jimmy Carter, you were the most Scarlett Johansson looking president. I can kind of see the nose, the lip, the chin. Yeah, yeah. Um, he Scarlett Johansson definitely looks a little bit alike, Jimmy Carter. Yeah, Jimmy Carter was boy band cute, wasn't he? He was boy band hot. Yep, you have to say he was quite the looker. And actually both. I mean, look at them. They look like they're directly from Central Casting. Beautiful, beautiful people, very handsome couple. Together forever. Together forever. Yeah, Jimmy Carter was raised in a mostly Black community. Okay. Netflix is doing it. They know how to get the audience, especially the Black audience. In other words, 6888, Beyonce, Harry and Meghan, etc. You got that right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Hot, hot, hot. An officer and a gentleman. Love lift us up where we belong, up where the clear winds blow. Time goes by, you know time flies. Let me see. I hope to end up like this with my boo, hopefully 40 more years. I hope so too. I think everybody deserves a long and prosperous marriage or relationship, partnership. Jimmy Carter, he was allowed. Okay, let me see. Carter got along well with his parents, even though his mother often absent during his childhood since she worked long hours, and although his father was staunchly pro-segregation, he allowed Jimmy to befriend the black farmhands' children. Carter was an enterprising teenager who was given his own acre of Earl's farmland where he grew up, packaged, and sold peanuts. Carter also rented out a section of tenant housing that he had purchased. I don't know where I had read the thing about him spending time with I think the elderly black couple. I don't think they had any children, and Jimmy Carter would spend a lot of time with them. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna go for real this time. Love you guys. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this the safe space that it is. And as I assumed, Lydia was like, good night. I haven't heard anything else about Bill Clinton. You know, he was in the hospital. I think they said he had like pneumonia or something like that. Absolutely. He loved and cared about America and all Americans. He was truly a good man. You get a bell for that. Yep. Good night. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. Let's do this.